Hey everybody, welcome to Shanth Enjeti Art. I've got a different setup again today because I'm mixing it up. This is probably going to be a short stream, but I just felt the need to play that intro because it makes me laugh. It's The music is a sped up version from a group that, if you can guess, I will send you a shiny new quarter. And of course, the clip just cracks me up so much. So when I put those together, it just made me laugh. So I'm still working on this piece. I've had a couple of breaks from working on it, working on other things. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on it and show you where I am. I've been putting figures on the back of this creature who are shown in the first couple of pages of the book that I've finished. And so, my plan is to, it has always been to kind of put them into this piece. I was showing it to a good friend of mine the other night, who's a very amazing filmmaker and a really cool guy over at the YouTube channel, The Choice Voice, and also Starship Valiant, where he makes Star Trek films. So if you're interested in checking him out, please do. Starship Valiant and The Choice Voice. He does a lot of really great horror reviews. And I was talking to him about things that I paint, things that I don't paint, and the things that give me trouble. And one of them are one of the things I have trouble painting is a figure riding a horse, and this is a gigantic dog, but it might as well be a horse. And I've realized as I've been working on this how horrendous that is for me to paint. I've learned things on it the first time I did it that I'm not gonna have to learn again. But I thought I had a pretty good understanding of how to do it when I started, and I ran into all kinds of trouble when I tried to put it together. So that's pretty much what I've been working on, and that's what I'm going to be working on this evening. Is once I wrap up these figures, everything else that I do is going to be relatively easy. It's not really complicated stuff. Let me see if I can get this to work here. There we go. There's where that is. So we'll see how it goes. But the kind of more ethereal, I hate using that word, um, but the more surreal aspects of this piece are going to be a little bit easier to do. And so I just kind of go into a zone when I work on those. It's usually the figures that give me trouble because um, it's more like, I actually should say figures are not difficult for me to illustrate, but when I have difficulty, they're usually the problem because I want to have them interact, and I'm always trying to push things a little bit. And when you're painting and you're thinking about value, hue, composition, color, it's the simultaneity of doing all that stuff that makes it a challenge. Back when I was, very recently, when I work in pen and ink, and I just do black and white stuff, um, I'm really just concerned with value, the texture, and the movement and the mood of the piece. But when I get into color, there's so much that I have to think about in order for it to all come together and work, which is the value and hue. And I was watching an artist who is just recently crowdfunded a book that I'm looking forward to getting soon because I know he's signing them at the moment. Is Kyle Ritter, who is at Def Colorist and Kyle Ritter, I think, on YouTube. And he did a comic book called Star Blades, and he does the digital all the way through digital paintings is what you'd call them. I mean, they look like traditional classic comics, and a little bit of an element for me anyway of 80s cartoons like Silverhawks in particular, which was a cartoon that I liked, and then oh gosh, I don't know how else I would describe it, but it's really great stuff, and he does the whole thing. So in a lot of ways, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing it in traditional media. So some people are, amazing at it, and that's the stuff that I enjoy doing, which is everything all together. But Kyle is ridiculously fast and amazing as an artist, um, and I'm not slow, but Kyle is Kyle is on another level. He's great. Kyle's almost up to manga artist, not manga. God, I'm tired. Is up to manga artist level. So if you haven't seen Star Blades or checked it out, um, I'm sure there are some reviews that have been coming up about it, but check it out. It's a great book. And but yeah, that's my plan is to kind of carry. If you've bought art books one and two, and again, go over to Shanth Enjeti Art on Instagram and give me a follow there if you want to see stuff I'm doing. And there's also a Patreon that's linked on that page. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be in many ways a continuation of the art books I'm doing. It's just going to have, the sequential element in it. And I've got some, visuals that I've been wanting to do and some stories that I've been wanting to tell with this character for a while. I just didn't have the character figured out. And as far as, aesthetic touchstones and the things that I'm hoping to do with it, I would say that the other night I was watching something that any 80s kid might remember, or I should say, anybody in their early to mid 40s probably would would remember, which is this special that used to air on network television called Disney's Halloween Treat, which was sort of a best of scary Disney stories. And I was watching that the other night and thinking about the Sleepy Hollow sequence, the night on Bald Mountain, or Bald Rock. Is it Bald Rock or Bald Mountain? I think it's Bald Mountain. Um, sequence that was done by Kay Nielsen and, all the other amazing artists who worked on Fantasia. And I just started thinking about, the idea of, moving through this space and having this really cool haunted space that this sort of hellhound takes the characters through when the rescue happens. And so that's what I've been focused on for the most part as I've been doing this, is just trying to get that sense of believability, urgency, and really making something that is, spooky, but fun in that sense. And so when I was working on this, an example of one of the things that I kind of run into is I've got him holding her, and then I was trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do with his sword? So I decided I'd go with this over the top. He bites down on it like people used to do with knives in old swashbuckling movies. They'd bite down on the knife and then jump off the ship into the water, and they'd be swimming through the water with the knife in their mouth, and it just looked really cool. And I thought, wouldn't it be ludicrous if he does that with a sword, which makes no sense in some ways because it's gigantic, but he's a superhero. And so, or I should say, what is he, a gothic superhero? Could we say that? And so, yeah, so that's been the big thing that I've been working on. But I also want him to be holding this book. And I haven't really decided what the title's going to be, but it's going to be a grimoire style book. I'm thinking of calling it like, something that is emerged between Sanskrit and, the standard sort of Necronomicon H.P. Lovecraft type thing because, I'm in Rhode Island and, I'm a fan of H.P. Lovecraft. So actually, I say H.P. Lovecraft and Arthur Conan Doyle are my two favorite authors. And so there's always going to be a little element of that. Like the fact that this hound is in here is very Hound of the Baskervilles. And the fact that you've got this sort of this grimoire. You've got this, um, these kind of otherworldly creatures trying to come through the gate, as you can see in a piece like this one right here. You can see the giant creature coming through the gate. She's about to be rescued and whisked away, as she is in this piece. And the creature itself, which is pictured on this page that I've shown before, this is where you really start to see the Lovecraftian influence that's going to be in this book. And I know a lot of people are doing horror comics right now and Lovecraftian sort of influence stuff. And I know that it's certainly not the first time this stuff has ever been done in a book, but I'm interested in doing it in a little bit more of an illustrative way and a little bit more of a period piece kind of sense. So I'm not trying to, this isn't really a contemporary book in the sense of it doesn't take place now. It's a little bit more, what's a good example? In terms of its time period and the way I'm approaching things, it's sort of like if Army of Darkness took place a little while after, maybe a century after, I don't know. Um, so that the times are kind of similar to what they would be in Hammer horror films that involve Dracula and vampires and Brides of Dracula and that kind of thing. So the technology is a lot more simple, and the adventure is a lot more returning to the kind of swashbuckling era. But I'm still kind of playing with that concept of how to go with it because when I'm listening to H.P. Lovecraft audiobooks while I work, the thing I kind of love about them is, there are cars, it's sort of turn of the century. they talk about the past, they talk about um, things that happened earlier or decades earlier, centuries earlier, or dawn of time earlier. But I like that kind of play, but I don't want it to be in a world where there are iPhones and cell phones and all of that kind of stuff. I don't want it to be in a world where there's that. I want it to be in a world where this character's ability to break distances and move from place to place and from plane to plane and through other planes is something a little bit more exceptional. If I bring in too much technology, I think it loses that. So that's my plan for this story. That's my plan for where it's going. I just wanted to make sure I did, because I'm forcing myself to do it. I wanted to make sure I did a short stream, showed the progress on this piece, showed people where it's going, so that I could keep you guys updated. Do check out the Instagram and the Patreon if you want to see more artwork, more images. And if you subscribe to the Patreon, I just dropped a poor, sad skeleton. I just shipped out to England, I think, some stickers for Patreon members. So I had a Patreon member who I just sent a tracking number to. So you will get these two stickers. You might even get two of each if you back the Patreon. So take care, everybody. Have a great evening. I will see you guys soon, and we will see if we can go out on. Let's see if I can find it here. We'll see if we can go out on this note here. Take care, everybody. I will see you soon.